fix our mind on the Divine Supreme in our heart and pray for the welfare of the whole humanity. Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya cha dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, and pray to him to lead us from unreal to the real, from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, from death to immortality. The whole of spirituality is nothing but going towards the light of knowledge. One is said to be completely spiritual when one attains the supreme knowledge, which gives everlasting peace and joy, knowing which he would not be required to know anything else. He becomes completely fulfilled. He has achieved the goal and the purpose of the human life is accomplished. Sri Ramakrishna has dealt with this subject of spirituality in so many ways. He is trying to help those who are sincerely aspiring for spiritual life. That's very important. If you don't want spiritual life, you will not get it. You have to be very sincere in your approach. Then everything works well. So you must develop spiritual appetite, which is very important. Without spiritual appetite, you won't enjoy the spiritual dishes. So to develop that spiritual appetite, one has to become more and more associated with saintly people. And Sri Ramakrishna is always there to help. Always there. Even now, though he may not be present in the physical form, but he is more present in the divine form. He is more present in this invisible form. He is ever ready to help us, to guide us, to show us the way. But then Sri Ramakrishna again and again tells one will have to follow the instructions properly. If you don't follow the instructions, then you will be in the same state from where you started. If you have to improve your life, then you will have to follow all the instructions. So Sri Ramakrishna has given very practical solutions for all our ordinary human problems confronting us in our daily life. More so with people who are leading a family life and who are entangled in the world. What is this world after all? Sri Ramakrishna himself explains this world is the glory of the Lord. Glory. We are enamored of the glory. We are just lost in the enjoyment of the senses. Just lost. By enjoying the glory of the world, we are losing the glory of the spiritual, which is million times superior to the worldly glory. There is no comparison to spiritual glory. Once you get interested in spiritual glory, you are no more attracted by the worldly glamours. All these worldly enjoyments become insipid, dry, meaningless, worthless. Then we will understand it is simply waste of our energy in trying to put our heart and soul in the things of the world. So Sri Ramakrishna here very clearly points out, look, if you are not careful, you will be lost in the glory of the world. You will be lost in this terrible attraction which drags your mind downwards, which saps all your energy, and you will be dropped dead. Not only that, it doesn't simply drag all your energy, it not only drags your energy, but also implants in the mind all the samskaras, the impressions, so that people would not be able to get away from this terrible worldly enjoyments. So, this worldly glory, Sri Ramakrishna wonderfully has compared this world to the whirlpool. Once, knowingly or unknowingly, if you are caught in the whirlpool, it is rather very difficult to get away from the pool. Simply, you are pushed to the bottom, pushed. So put it in a nutshell, people are lost in the sensuous enjoyments, in the pursuit of wealth. People, no doubt, have to earn money. Nobody questions that. Without earning money, how do you live the life? Even Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, go and do some work. Who will look after your family, wife and children? Do you think your neighbor will come and look after them? Go and do work. But then, Sri Ramakrishna warns, you do the work, at the same time don't forget God. Do the work, earn the money as much as is required. But don't be avaricious. Don't be greedy. Don't think that you will be able to amass the wealth by working 24 hours. Even more than that if God could provide the time. That is madness. That is madness. There are people who earn a lot. In spite of that, they allow all the people to go and earn money. Even the husband and wife, though the husband earns a lot of money, where is the need for the wife also to go and earn money? She has got lot of work to do at home, to look after the home, etc. She is considered as Graha Lakshmi. I don't know. That spiritual concept is forgotten actually. Graha Lakshmi. She is the wealth of the house. She is the spiritual treasure of the house. What is the house? It is children. Everything connected in the house. All the matters regarding the welfare of the children. Everything is directly looked upon by the mother. So mother has a very important role to play in the house. She has to look after the children. She has to give her love to them. She has to develop special type of relationship with the children. Then only there is meaning. I was once hearing, somebody was telling that one person is living in an apartment and his mother is living very nearby, 5 minutes walkable distance. Then I asked the question, what is the need for this boy to stay in a separate apartment? Can he not stay with his own mother? The reply given was, the mother wants to stay alone. See how the tendency has been developed in this society. Highly individualistic, highly intolerable, no adjustment. Why there is so much of divorces are going on? No adjustment. For a silly reasons, they are prepared to commit any worst type of crime. So all these things create lot of suffering. How can you expect peace? How can you expect? So it is like a thorny bush. Again, Sri Ramakrishna compares this world to a thorny bush. By carefully seeing the things, if you are trying to avoid one set of thorns, immediately another set of thorns are ready to bother you. That's the world. So Sri Ramakrishna gives this wonderfully explanation of God and His glory in this chapter 2. I suppose it has been completed in the last class by Swami Brahmarupanji. I am just commenting my observations on this topic. Then, what's the way? It is true. Again, Sri Ramakrishna tells, there is a way for everything. The way is shown by the Guru. The way is shown by the one who has known the path. Sri Ramakrishna tells, what are the ways? Prayer and holy association. How many times he has told? Not simply coming and visiting once in a month. Oh, I have gone there. I have paid my Sunday visit. That kind of calculation will not help. If you want to achieve result, your visits must be more frequent, and you must become more acquainted with the saintly people. By doing contact with saintly people, what are the benefits? That also Sri Ramakrishna explains. By living constantly with spiritual people, one gets yearning. He yearns to know God. It begets love of God. Sri Ramakrishna gives an example. A person is suffering in a house. It is not being cured. So the father thinks very deeply, what is this? His mind doesn't go anywhere else. He is so much concerned about his beloved son, the only son. The only thought in his mind is how to get rid of this disease. He is so much concentrated on that single thought. So that intensity must be there. He gives another example. Suppose a person has lost a job. Who will look after him? Who will give bread next day? How can he pay the bills? So he runs after from one place to another in search of job. His whole mind is kept on that single thought. He is not bothered about anything else in this world. He does not know what is happening in this world even. He just wants to know that he must secure a job. That's it. So that type of earnestness one gets by being associated with saintly people. It reminds him, it awakens him. It triggers the spiritual thinking. And then it helps one to cultivate discrimination. What is real, what is unreal, etc. Discrimination is very important. Unless you are intellectually strong, it is difficult to get rid of this unreality. Then somebody asked, why the world was created like this? Why should there be evil, wicked people at all? Why the people commit sins? All these questions were asked. Sri Ramakrishna answered. In a very simple way, he said, creation has got everything. Why there is so much evil? Why there is so much of wickedness? In order to produce a saint. Otherwise, how do you recognize the saint? That's it. And whatever the sins are committed, the sins, they beget its own results. So we have to be careful about anger, passion, etc., which are the root cause for all suffering. Sometimes it is necessary also. Sri Ramakrishna again explains that the landlord had to control some unruly people, tenants, who are causing lot of troubles. So he engaged one gunda to look after that. Just by hearing the name of that gunda, all the people immediately, they behaved well. It's just like that. Everything has got place. Everything has got place in the world. Everything works in its own way. We have come here, let us follow the path of knowledge. Let us try to get rid of darkness of ignorance and achieve immortality. So, in order to practice steadily all these spiritual ideas, Sri Ramakrishna again and again tells we must follow instructions of the Guru. It's a very important point. So the Guru's responsibility is very high. We must have a Guru who is enlightened, or a person who is advanced in spiritual life, who can be of some model to the people. So one should be eager to have proper Guru, and once you get the Guru, you must follow him with all devotion and dedication. Then it would be possible to extricate the mind from the glorious world onto the Divine Supreme. So these instructions are given by Sri Ramakrishna in the chapter 2 that is concluded. Now I shall read chapter 3. Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was born in the village of Bir Singh, not far from Kamarpakor, Sri Ramakrishna's birthplace. He was known as a great scholar, educator, writer and philanthropist. One of the creators of modern Bengali, he was also well versed in Sanskrit grammar and poetry. A very reputed person. His generosity made his name a household word with his countrymen, most of his income being given in charity to widows, orphans, indigent students and other needy people. Nor was his compassion limited to human beings. He stopped drinking milk for years so that the cows should not be deprived of it. And he would not drive in a carriage for fear of causing discomfort to the horses. He was a man of indomitable spirit, which he showed when he gave up the lucrative position of principal of the Sanskrit College of Calcutta because of a disagreement with the authorities. His affection for his mother was especially deep. One day, in the absence of ferry boat, Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar swam a raging river at the risk of his life to fulfill her wish that he should be present at his brother's wedding. His whole life was one of utter simplicity. The title Vidyasagar, meaning ocean of learning, was given him in recognition of his vast erudition. Sri Ramakrishna had long wanted to visit Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar. Sri Ramakrishna wanted to catch this big fish. So he contacted Keshwachandra Sen, one of the most prominent leaders of the Brahmo Samaj in that period. And he met great Pandits like Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar. Sri Ramakrishna himself went to meet them because he was genuinely interested to raise them, to show them, to turn them towards God. What's the use of goodness without God? With God, everything has got value. Without God, nothing has got any value. Everything is trash. Learning from M that he was a teacher at Vidyasagar's school, the master asked, "Can you take me to Vidyasagar? I should like very much to see him." M told Ishwarchandra of Sri Ramakrishna's wish, and the Pandit gladly agreed that M should bring the master some Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock. He only asked M what kind of Paramahamsa the master was, saying, "Does he wear any ochre cloth?" M answered, "No, sir. He is an unusual person. He wears red bordered cloth and polished slippers. He lives in a room in Rani Rasmani's temple garden. In his room there is a couch with a mattress and mosquito net. He has no outer indication of holiness. His idea is he looks ordinary, but he doesn't know anything except God. Day and night he thinks of God alone." On the afternoon of August 5, the master left Dakshineshwar in a hackney carriage, accompanied by Bhavanath, M. and Hazrat. Vidyasagar lived in Badur Bagan in central Calcutta, about 6 miles from Dakshineshwar. On the way, Sri Ramakrishna talked with his companions. But as the carriage neared Vidyasagar's house, Sri Ramakrishna's mood suddenly changed. He was overpowered with divine ecstasy. Not noticing this, M pointed out the garden house where Raja Ram Mohan Roy had lived. The master was annoyed and said, "I don't care about such things now." He was going into an ecstatic state. The carriage stopped in front of Vidyasagar's house. The master alighted, supported by M, who then led the way. In a courtyard were many flowering plants. As the master walked to the house, he said to M, like a child, pointing to his shirt button, "My shirt is unbuttoned. Will that offend Vidyasagar?" "Oh no," said M. "Don't be anxious about it. Nothing about you will be offensive. You don't have to button your shirt." He accepted the assurance simply, like a child. Vidyasagar was about 62 years old, 16 or 17 years older than the master. He lived in a 2-story house built in English fashion, with lawns on all sides and surrounded by a high wall. After climbing the stairs to the 2nd floor, Sri Ramakrishna and his devotees entered a room at the far end of which Vidyasagar was seated facing them, with a table in front of him. To the right of the table was a bench. Some friends of their host occupied chairs on the other 2 sides. Vidyasagar rose to receive the master. Sri Ramakrishna stood in front of the bench with one hand resting on the table. He gazed at Vidyasagar as if they had known each other before and smiled in an ecstatic mood. In that mood he remained standing a few minutes. Now and then, to bring his mind back to normal consciousness, he said, I shall have a drink of water. In the meantime, the young members of the household and a few friends and relatives of Vidyasagar had gathered around. Sri Ramakrishna, still in an ecstatic mood, sat on the bench. A young man, 17 or 18 years old, who had come to Vidyasagar told someone to bring water and asked Yam whether the master would like some sweetmeats also. Since Yam did not object, Vidyasagar himself went eagerly to the inner apartments and brought the sweets. They were placed before the master. Bhavanath and Hazra also received their share. When they were offered to M, Vidyasagar said, Oh, he is like one of the family. We needn't worry about him. Referring to a young devotee, the master said to Vidyasagar, He is a nice young man and is sound at the core. He is like the river Falgu. The surface is covered with sand, but if you dig a little, you will find water flowing underneath. After taking some sweets, the master with a smile began to speak to Vidyasagar. Meanwhile, the room had become filled with people. Some were standing and others were seated. Master. Now the interesting dialogue begins. Sri Ramakrishna said, Oh, today at last I have come to the ocean. Up till now I have seen only canals, marshes, or a river at the most. But today I am face to face with the sagar, the ocean. All laugh. Vidyasagar, he was also very intelligent, and he replied, Then please take home some salt water, because you have come to the ocean. Master is very intelligent. Immediately he replied, No, why salt water? You are not the ocean of ignorance. You are the ocean of vidya, knowledge. You are the ocean of condensed milk. All laugh. Vidyasagar, well, you may put it that way. Vidyasagar was silenced. The Pandit became silent. Sri Ramakrishna said, Your activities are inspired by sattva. Though they are rajasic, they are influenced by sattva. Compassion springs from sattva. Though work for the good of others belongs to rajas, yet this rajas has sattva for its basis and is not harmful. Shuka and other sages cherished a companion in their minds to give people religious instruction, to teach them about God. You are distributing food and learning. That's good too. If these activities are done in a selfless spirit, they lead to God. But most people work for fame or to acquire merit. Their activities are not selfless. Besides, you are already a siddha. Perfect, that means. Vidyasagar, how is that, sir? Master, laughing. When potatoes and other vegetables are well cooked, they become soft and tender. And you possess such a tender nature. You are so compassionate, Vidyasagar. But when the paste of kalai pulse is boiled, it becomes all the harder. Master, but you don't belong to that class. Mere pandits are like diseased fruit that becomes hard and will not ripen at all. Such fruits has neither the freshness of green fruit nor the flavor of ripe. Vultures soar very high in the sky, but their eyes are fixed on rotten carrion on the ground. The book learned are reputed to be wise, but they are attached to lust and gold. Like the vultures, they are in search of carrion. They are attached to the world of ignorance. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. Vidyasagar listened to these words in silence. The others too gazed at the master and were attentive to every word he said. Vidyasagar was very reticent about giving religious instruction to others. He had studied Hindu philosophy. Once when M had asked him his opinion of it, Vidyasagar had said, I think the philosophers have failed to explain what was in their minds. But in his daily life he followed all the rituals of Hindu religion and wore the sacred thread of a Brahmin. About God he had once declared, "It is indeed impossible to know him. What then should be our duty? It seems to me that we should live in such a way that if others followed our example, this very earth would be heaven. Everyone should try to do good to the world." Sri Ramakrishna's conversation now turned to the knowledge of Brahman. Master said, "Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya, knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya, the illusion of duality. The world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. It contains knowledge and devotion and also attachment to lust and gold, righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil. But Brahman is unattached to these. Good and evil apply to the jiva, the individual soul, as do righteousness and unrighteousness. But Brahman is not at all affected by them. One man may read the Bhagavata by the light of a lamp, and another man commit a forgery by that very light. But the lamp is unaffected. The sun sheds its light on the wicked as well as on the virtuous. You may ask, how then can one explain misery and sin and unhappiness? The answer is that these apply only to the jiva. Brahman is unaffected by them. There is poison in a snake, but though others may die if bitten by it, the snake itself is not affected by the poison. What Brahman is cannot be described. All things in the world, the Vedas, Puranas, Tantras, 6 systems of philosophy, have been defiled like food that has been touched by the tongue, for they have been read or uttered by the tongue. Only one thing has not been defiled in this way, and that is Brahman. No one has ever been able to say what Brahman is. Let us stop here. No, it is true that as long as we are engaged in activities, there will be various types of reactions. Karma has got its own way. It works with everyone. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna himself gives the example how Mathur Babu, in his younger days, he had led a very fast life, on account of which he had to suffer a lot. He had to suffer by so many diseases and so many things happened. It's all the reactions of those things. Sri Ramakrishna says that. So, the karma, the theory of karma is operative as long as our mind is attached to the things of the world. The karma becomes inoperative when you are not doing with motivation. When you connect yourself with God, you are doing the things as one is expected to do. It's my duty to do it. Just like it was the duty of Arjuna to fight in the battle. It was his duty, that's all. But his mind was not deviated from Krishna. His mind was always thinking about the Lord. So that way, we may carry on all activities at the same time. If the mind is kept on God, then the effect of these karmas will not bind us. On the other hand, it paves the way for liberation. And if something happens on account of some reaction, we would be able to bear them thinking the nature of the world is like this. So, why should I become upset over that? So immediately I must be able to disconnect my mind from that thought. It's all right, it has come, the world is like this. So we must develop a kind of renunciation and dispassion and detachment in our inner being. We are all doing the things at the same time, we are not attached to it. We do the things as long as we are supposed to do it. But we must do the things in such a way that they should not overpower our nature. Our nature should be more and more Godward. That is why Sri Ramakrishna again and again tells regular prayers, regular meditations and holy association, going to solitary places, again and again refreshing the mind with the spiritual ideas. These are all very important so that the love of God is kept up. If that is kept up, then you are prompted by that love to do the activities. For example, Vivekananda Vedanta Society is there. We are all working. What for? It is just for the love of Sri Ramakrishna we are all working. So, if we develop that love inside, whatever may be the difficulties we may be facing while doing the work, it should not affect us. Because Sri Ramakrishna is there looking after everything, and we have surrendered everything to him. So why should I be worrying over the things? But I must discharge the work properly, that's very important, and follow all the instructions of the Guru, that's important. And you must be always aware of your goal, that's important. So, keeping eye on all these things, then you carry on the work. Even though sometimes you may come across some things, you are not bothered over them. It's it. You just take it lightly. Just take it lightly. Suppose a man is walking, just he stumbles on a stone and there is a little scratch. He is not bothered about it. That's all right, it's nothing. Though it's a scratch, it has got its effect, it has caused pain, etc. He is not bothered over it because his interest is in something else, not in that scratch. So like that, whatever the suffering we are getting in this world because of the actions and counteractions, we must just ignore them, not give any importance to that. On the other hand, suffering also comes to rectify our thinking, to rectify our way of life. So suffering comes. But anyway, even when the suffering comes, you will not lose your joy because your mind is fixed on God. And even through suffering, you will have mental peace. That's the point. We have seen all the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, how much they worked. Every one there on the backside, all the direct disciples' photos are given there. Everyone worked very hard, but then they had to undergo a lot of suffering, but they are not bound by suffering. Just like that. So you must try to analyze the things, and mind should not be disturbed to the extent that it forgets God. In the name of doing the duties, sometimes we go too much of doing the things and forget God and everything else, and begin to think whatever I do is karma yoga. Whatever I talk is a spiritual idea. Whatever I say, it is a correct thing. So like that, asserting oneself too much, that's the point. First of all, the aspirant himself, that thinking should come from his own mind. You must feel the urge to find out the Guru. That means if you constantly read the spiritual books and if you try to understand things going on around you, that should prompt you to approach the Guru. But you must have some preparation. You must read some books And you must try to find out where you are exactly. What is the position of your mind? You must find out in what situation you are established. Then only you can proceed onwards. It depends upon how far your mind is towards knowing the spiritual things, how far the mind is involved in the world. So if the mind is too much involved in the world, you won't, as I told you, you won't get the spiritual appetite. If you have to develop that spiritual appetite, you must raise the mind by reading good books and doing prayers, meditation, and coming in contact with holy people and like temperament devotees. Slowly, you will be able to get into that. Both are true. You see, in the case of enlightened gurus, for example, Sri Ramakrishna, he could understand anybody coming to him, he would know, and according to him, his nature, Sri Ramakrishna would give instruction to him and he would rise him. So that is with respect to illumined souls. In the absence of such people, but there are some channels through which that power of the Guru works, channel. For example, if you take Ramakrishna order, whatever the way Sri Ramakrishna taught, in the same way the Swamis of the Ramakrishna order, they try to follow the instructions of Sri Ramakrishna in their life, and they feel they are the instruments of Sri Ramakrishna, and they become the channel to lead the people. Though all of them might not have realized the supreme truth, but they are on the way. At the same time, their whole mind, their everything is dedicated to Sri Ramakrishna. So they think that Sri Ramakrishna himself directly looks after them. So whatever Sri Ramakrishna has said, in whatever way Sri Ramakrishna has given instructions, the same things are given to the people who come to them. So like that they are drawn towards spiritual life. Now the point is this. See, we cannot have full control over the mind, because mind is an internal instrument. If it were outside, I could have squeezed it. But because it's inside, you can't do that. But you have to handle it very cautiously. They do come. What is mind after all? It is a storehouse of all the impressions, I told already. So many memories, etc. Recall memories. They come. They will not ask us whether they would come or not. They will come and they go. The point is this. Let us not give attention to that. I don't care to them. They come, they go. That attitude you must have. And another thing is, whenever you sit for meditation or whenever you sit consciously to repeat the mantra, before doing that, you watch your mind, how the mind goes, and then you offer your mind to the God and say, "Oh Lord, here is the mind. It has got all sorts of things, but whatever it is, I have placed this whole mind with you, in you. My whole mind is kept in you. It is for you to do whatever is needful." Like that you appeal to the Lord and just keep quiet. Whatever it happened, don't bother about it. Let it come, you are not to bother. But give more attention to what you are thinking. Suppose you are thinking about the mantra. You concentrate more on the mantra, even though the other thoughts may come up. Not giving attention to them, giving more attention to the mantram, slowly you will get over the difficulty. And as I told you, not only repeating the mantra, you must get appetite over it. You must feel like doing it again and again. By constantly doing it, continuously doing it, what would happen to that extent? Suppose 5 minutes you have thought of repeating the Lord's name continuously with full concentration. That 5 minutes you are not very much concerned about what happened outside or what things happened, etc., etc. So like that you begin to practice a quality meditation. Slowly you will be able to understand, and everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. And this becomes more and more strong. The spiritual ideas which you are thinking, at the moment they are weak, they are feeble. See, whenever anything comes, always good and bad, two things always come to the mind. But your intellect must be so sharp to decide what is right and to reject what is wrong. That's the point. So you must develop that spiritual quality, you must become more strong spiritually. The more and more strong you become spiritually, the more and more mind becomes under your control. So you must build up that spiritual strength. That spiritual strength can be built up by surrendering yourself totally to Sri Ramakrishna and doing the things without losing emotion and doing it as the work of the Lord Himself. It is Lord's work I am doing. Even then, work always brings friction. It is true. Work always brings friction. It is true. But even that friction is there, it should not trouble me because I am doing Lord's work. So sometimes by opening your eyes and repeating the mantra would help you. If you close your mind, you may, as you said, all those memories may come. Suppose you are opening your eyes. To that extent, that disturbance will not be there. So like that, sometimes you read, sometimes you write, sometimes you repeat, sometimes you do singing, etc., etc. But always must be careful what you think, that's important. Even for a moment, don't allow the mind to think anything that is not useful to you. Even though the mind wants to think of it, you overpower it. That's the way. It's difficult, no doubt. It depends upon how far the mind has been occupied by such thoughts. It depends upon that. Everybody's mind is different, That's the thing. But repetition of the divine name helps a lot. Every Mahatma has said, just keep on repeating, even though it is mechanical. It has got its effect and it will do its work. It will definitely do its work. It must become strong, that's all. Repeat more intensely. Try to love God more intensely. That's the thing. So we shall conclude. Now it's already time.